No, you don't.
The tickets.
Okay, we're going to start our public hearing. District of Sycamoose Official Community Plan Amendment Bylaw number 1070/2024. District of Sycamoose Zoning Amendment Bylaw number 1071/2024. District of Sycamoose Official Community Plan Amendment Bylaw number 1074/2024. District of Sycamoose Zoning Amendment Bylaw 1075/2024. At this public hearing, council will consider Official Community Plan Amendment Bylaw number 1070/2024 and Zoning Amendment Bylaw number 1070/2024, proposing to designate and rezone the properties civically addressed 303 and 307 Fred Bush Lane to accommodate a multifamily residential development. Official Community Plan Amendment Bylaw number 1074/2024 and Zoning Amendment Bylaw number 1075/2024, proposing a redesignate and rezone the portion of the property civically addressed 329 Main Street to accommodate a residential development on the part of the described parcel upon the completion of the subdivision. If you believe your interest in this property is affected, you will be given a reasonable opportunity to be heard or present written submissions to council concerning proposed land use amendments. The public is invited to make presentations to council, and everyone will be given a reasonable opportunity to be heard. No one should feel discouraged or prevented from making their views known. In-person attendees will be asked to speak first, followed by anyone participating online. Please observe the following procedural rules during the public hearing. Please listen and be courteous to everyone who makes a presentation to council. Please do not interrupt the speaker. Everyone will have an opportunity to be heard. Please also be mindful that interruptions and background noise make it difficult for online attendees to hear what is being shared. Thank you for being mindful of this. To make a presentation, please raise your hand. If you are attending electronically via Zoom, you can click on the hand icon. Please wait until you've been acknowledged to speak and state your name for the record. In-person attendees are asked to speak from the podium using the microphone. To ensure everyone has an equal opportunity to speak, we ask that you keep your presentation to 3 minutes in length. You will be notified when 30-second remains. After all the in-person and online attendees, I will provide a second opportunity to speak. Please only raise your hand if you have new information to share. Council members may ask questions following your presentation. However, the main function of council is to listen to the views of the public. It is not to debate the merits of the proposed with individual citizens. Please direct all your comments through me, the meeting chair. This includes any concerns about how the meeting is being conducted. This is the final opportunity to comment on the proposed amendment bylaws, as council members are not permitted to receive new submissions after the close of the public hearing. Staff will now be asked to provide a brief synopsis of the proposals after the introduction of each bylaw. I will open the floor to presentations from the public. Okay, so we're going to start with Official Community Plan Amendment Bylaw number 1070/2024, 303 and 307 Fred Bush Lane. Nicole, take it away.
Thank you, through the chair. So I've got 2 presentations for 4 public hearings, and this presentation is for the bylaw amendment that you mentioned, and then for the OCP, and then the zoning bylaw 1071. Okay, so the 2 properties that we're looking at today is 303 and 307 Fred Bush Lane, outlined in red. They're currently designated town center under the OCP and zone C1, local and town center commercial, under the zoning bylaw. Okay, so this is the proposal as a whole, and I've got the 2 properties outlined in red. The property that's not outlined in red is 222 Temple, and their current OCP designation is residential medium density. And the 2 properties subject to the public hearing tonight are proposed to be developed with 222 Temple, and so the proposal is to match those 2 properties to the same designation as 222 Temple, which would be town center to residential medium density. And then for the zoning of 222 Temple, It's currently MUR1, multi-unit residential, and the proposal is to rezone 303 and 307 Fred Bush Lane to match that. So it would be C1 to MUR1. And the development as a whole, so tonight we're looking to do the OCP and zoning amendment public hearings. That's to align with the residential use proposed. Later, council will be presented with a development permit and a variance. It's within the multifamily development permit area, and we're expecting some requests to relax some side setbacks to accommodate the proposed buildings. It's about 74 new residential strata lots proposed in there. We took this to the Planning and Development Committee. It was a late item, and we walked through what we just walked through tonight. And the recommendation was to take this application straight to council and no further PDC meetings required. Here we go.
Okay, we're going to open the floor. Does anyone have any comments that they would like to make? And that's quiet. And what about online? Anyone zooming in have any comments? Like to speak to this? Calling a second time? Calling a third time? That's it. This public hearing is over. Okay, moving forward. Zoning amendment bylaw number 1071 2024 303 and 307 Fred Bush Lane.
Through the chair, so I just did the presentation for that one as well.
Okay, so we're gonna open the floor. Does anyone have any comments? Anyone online? Calling a second time? Calling a third time? This public hearing is closed. Okay, moving along. Official community plan amendment bylaw number 1074 2024 329 Main Street. Nicole, do you want to take that away?
Yeah, through the chair. So this is a different presentation. It's for the OTP amendment and the zoning bylaw amendment. The property is located at 329 Main Street, outlined in yellow. Right now it's designated town center and it's zone C1. So the proposal as a whole, so looking to subdivide the existing property into 2 lots, and the commercial business will remain at the northern end. And at the back end of the property, there is a residential building proposed. And the owner would like to continue to operate the commercial operation and then live behind it. So currently, we're looking, or I guess as part of this public hearing, we're looking to amend the OCP to go from town center to residential low density, and then amend the zone or redesignate the zone from C1 to R1. And that's for the residential area only. So the commercial operation will continue to be town center and C1. And then just looking a little bit further, later council will be presented with a DP and DBP, not tonight. It's going to continue to be in the development permit area. And so there's some requests to relax the setbacks, and we're still working through those variances. And so this public hearing tonight for the OGP and zoning amendments is just to help support getting to this point. So just to summarize, so looking to do a small subdivision, 2 lots, and then tonight doing the OCP and zoning amendment, and then later on doing the development permit and variance. So it did go to the Planning and Development Committee, all 3 proposals, OCP amendment, zoning, and then the development permit and variance, and all 3 were carried to bring to council.
Okay. So we're going to open the public hearing on this particular bylaw number 1074075. Does anyone want to make a comment or speak in the audience? Anyone online zooming in? Call a second time? Calling a third time? Okay, this public hearing is closed. We're going to zoning amendment bylaw number 105 1075-2024, 329 on Main Street. Open that public hearing. Anyone in the audience, in the gallery, want to speak to this? Anyone online? Calling a second time? Calling a third time? This public hearing is closed. Thanks, Nicole. Okay, we're going to move on to delegations, short-term rentals, 326 Mara Lane. Steve Slinger, take the podium.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and staff. My name is Steve Sullinger. I'm an owner, and I'm representing the clear majority of the ownership of the Legacy Strata, EPS 1 and 4, commonly called the Legacy, as we all know. Here we go from 4. I provided a letter to Ms. Bennett a week or so ago regarding the outcome of the CRT ruling, which the U.S. had shown interest in seeing the outcome of that prior to moving the application to rezone the Legacy forward. The court ruling was in favor of the Legacy on all accounts. I don't know if anyone of you have read that, anything attached to it, or the documents provided, but it clearly shows that the court is in favor of the majority ownership. They even state in the 75% thing is kind of wishy-washy, whatever. If you would have to read it, I can read it for you if you like. But the DOS is aware of the issue at hand in regards to rezoning requests made. There are main documents of support provided to carry the application. The court ruling was in favor, as it is stated, but the court ruling clearly stating the Legacy does not have to support the application for a U.S. license to SDR property of the Legacy. It's the opinion of the majority of the ownership of Legacy that the DOS must now both honor and enforce any and all complaints regarding SDR rentals within the strata. This being as per BC provincial legislation. We, the large majority of the ownership of the Legacy property, again urge the DOS to reconsider their opinion on the rezoning application by an owner, that being myself, of the property with the support of an overwhelming amount of ownership. As previously stated, 1, the court ruling of the province of BC clearly supports the majority of opinion of the owners of the Legacy property. 2, the court ruling clearly shows that the SDR rentals within the Legacy are an illegal action as per both US bylaws and provincial legislation governing the operation of SDR rentals. 3, the owners on numerous occasions have shown clear and major majority support for the rezoning application due to the proof and evidence that the SDR rentals have a clear negative impact on lifestyle, safety, liability, property damages, etc. at the Legacy. This being requested by the US as a popular opinion of the owners. This is being provided at request on 4 different dates with a clear increase in opinion from ownership that they do not wish to live in a building that now allows SDR rentals. This being due to the US previous decision to change the zoning on a property from no rentals to allow rentals when there was a clear lack of issue regarding the historical zoning of no rentals. In other words, we didn't have a problem. If you read the documents from the court, it even states in there up to October of 2022, I believe that is the date, correct me if I'm wrong, there were no complaints from to the US regarding SDRs and stuff. That's because we dealt with it ourselves. After October, as we all know, we've all discussed this 2 or 3 times. There was a change made to the zoning of the building to allow SDRs. The majority of the owners have disagreed with that since that date, that's why I'm here. Okay. On closing, as the clear and large majority of ownership, Legacy is in support of the rezoning application put forth, and the Court of BC clearly shows support in regards to illegal activity, that being SDR rentals. We, the majority ownership of the Legacy property, request that the DOS honor the rezoning application put forth by ownership. Due to the legality of the issue regarding District of Sicamous and provincial law and legislation. Note, we ask that the DOS simply give us back the tool to govern internally. to govern internally our property and homes that we have historically had. We have no problems in 22. Okay. All we ask is that you move forward with this application for the first, second reading, public portion, and the third reading. And hopefully something can be done, because as we stand right here as I speak tonight, there are at least 6 illegal things going on over there. The crews that did the really nice pump track, when they left, they so graciously on Sunday paraded through the building with muddy boots, and basically it was a, you know what, to the ownership there of the building. It was terrible, unbelievable. That's all due short-term rentals. That's the type of stuff that we have there. Some of the excerpts from the court documents. Do the Strata's bylaws prohibit SDAs? Bylaw 3 is a use bylaw. The Strata's position, this is from the CRT, from the court. The Strata's position is that bylaw 3.1 effectively prohibits SDAs or cars. The evidence shows the Strata has warned or fined a certain party within the building for using Strata lots in contravention of bylaw 3, single family dwelling, secondary business. Okay, it's illegal. Operating illegally. Bylaw 3.1. Bylaw 3.1 prohibits using a Strata lot illegally. I find operating, this is the judge or leader, whatever you want to call it. I find operating an SDA in contravention of the district zoning bylaw is an illegal use of a Strata lot. These are just excerpts from the documents, from the court documents. The judge also, her word, she found it was unreasonable for the applicant to expect the Strata to sign the consent form without considering the potential effects of that decision. I agree with the reasoning, particularly given the polarizing impact SDAs have had on the Strata. That's due to the evidence that was provided, illegal activities, crime, on and on and on. Another thing that was brought forth in the CRT thing is our insurance to operate the Strata. If SDRs are allowed in that building, it increases $80,000 to $100,000. The court ruled, you have the documents, that that's true. They've had evidence, witnesses, everything applying for that. It's a lot of money. If we had a teeth back, we would be talking about this. I keep using that phrase. The Strata denies any history of consenting to SDAs. Strata has never consented, ever. Okay. The undisputed evidence is that before October 2022, there were no complaints about SDRs to the DOS. I find it was valid for the Strata Council to consider that both the March 28, 2023 SDM and the June 10, 2023 AGM votes for this STA restriction bylaws obtained strong majorities, falling just short of the required 3/4 support to amend the bylaws. I find this shows the Strata was following the majority's will by not supporting SDAs and not signing up a certain person's application. Okay. The courts even say majority. The only person that talks about 75% wanting the Strata to do that on an application that an individual owner supported by the majority of the ownership of the district of citizens. Even the courts say majority. I mean, I could go on and on and on, but if you've all read it, there's no need. I mean, it's very clear what the court, how the courts feel about this. It's also very clear how we just the majority of the ownership of the building feel about the short-term rentals. So in closing, I'll ask for council to reconsider the application that I put in.
Thanks, Steve. Okay, bylaws and policies, official community plan amendment bylaw. Number 1070/2024. I feel like I'm repeating myself, but I'm going into something different here. In zoning amendment bylaw number 1071/2024, 303 and 307, Fred Bush Lane, third reading. Recommendation that the official community plan amendment bylaw number 1070-2024 be given third reading this 12th day of June 2024. Can I get a mover? Councillor Evans, Councillor Bushel. Is there any discussion? I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried. Recommendation that zoning amendment number 1071-2024 be given third reading this 12th day of June 2024. Could I get a mover? Councillor Rich, Councillor Evans. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Official Community Plan Amendment Bylaw number 1074-2024, zoning amendment bylaw number 1075-2024, 329 Main Street, third reading. Recommendation that the official community plan amendment bylaw number 1074-2024 be given third reading this 12th day of June 2024. Councillor Bushel, Councillor Evans, any discussion? All in favor? Recommendation that zoning amendment bylaw number 1075-2024 be given third reading this 12th day of June 2024. Can I get a mover? Councillor Bailey, Councillor Beach. Discussion? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Going into staff reports. District of Sycamore zoning amendment bylaw number 1072-2024, Sycamore Sands, first and second reading. There's a recommendation that the District of Sycamore zoning amendment bylaw number 1072-2024 be giving first and second reading this 12th day of June 2024. Councillor Beach, Councillor Bushel, any discussion? All in favor? Carried. Okay, we're going into the staff report, sorry.
Sorry, through the chair, was there a presentation on the last?
Yeah. Oh.
It's a new one, that's already second reading. Do you guys wanna?
I am so sorry. No one's stopping me, right? It's like, let's get this over with.
This is first and second, so.
Yeah.
Do you want to back that up?
Look at it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, so this is first and second for zoning amendment 1072-2024, and this is related to RVP2 zone, specifically Sycamore Sands. Okay, so the property is located at 1455 Silver Sands Road, and like I mentioned, this is Sycamore Sands Resort. It's currently designated residential waterfront medium density under the OCP, and it's zoned RVP2. So I'm not really on this slide, but some of the history, we recently adopted RVP1 and RVP2 for Sycamore Sands and Silver Sands. And Sycamore Sands has come back one more time to talk about the setbacks in RVP2, and more specifically the rear setbacks for recreational vehicles or park model trailers to the rec vehicle space and accessory buildings or a perimeter of a rec vehicle space. So right now the rear setback is 3 meters for rec vehicles and park model trailers and 1.5 meters for accessory buildings. And what's being proposed is 0 and 0. And so on the next slide, I just have a visual of what that could look like. This isn't the entire Sycamore Sands Resort, obviously, but a small snippet, and I've just drawn in the red line of where the 0 meter setback would be taken from. And so that's the, I guess, the rear lot line of the rec vehicle spaces. And this would allow any of those buildings and accessory buildings to be 0 meters on that line. I just have a note there, and we've discussed it a bit with the strata, that even if we decide to move forward with a 0 meter setback for the rear lot line, it doesn't supersede any riparian regulations from the province. So they will still be looking at getting approval from the province for any kind of new builds within 30 meters. They probably have to do the report, and then if anything is we've seen in the past, maybe around that 15 meter mark, they may not be able to from whatever is determined in the report. But if the report works in their favor and they could have a 0 meter or a building on that lot line, then this would work for them in terms of spacing, because they've let us know that the lots are difficult to sell with the current setbacks because there's just not a lot of space on these tiny parcels. So They did request some other changes, but they amended their request to only include this 0 meter setback.
Now, would you like me to, yeah, just one sec, I just need to check a process here, because I've already been through this. Am I going to back this train up?
Through the chair, technically you've already voted on it, but you weren't aware that you were voting on it. So I would just say you could move and second it and have some discussion and vote on it again.
Okay,
As if it had not been.
let's back that up.
I'll move it.
You move it? Second, Councillor Rich, you want to speak to this?
Yeah, through the chair. Nicole, has Lorenzo had some time to spend in this park? I mean, there's a lot of moving parts in this park. And do we have any feedback, or can we get some feedback from him?
Yeah, we met on site with Lorenzo, the strata, and members of the planning committee. And yeah, he walked all along that beach line. And maybe the planning committee members can chime in, but his main concerns were ensuring adequate access on the internal strata road and ensuring that no one was parking on that road. And you know, I don't know, some of the things that kind of stood out to me was that if the homes and the accessory buildings were pushed back, then that means that there would be more parking on the lots and not on the road. And he felt like that was a good thing. The reason the strata pulled back to the 0 meter and excluded some of their other requests was because of that on-site meeting. They wanted some pretty tiny interior lot line setbacks, and I think the team kind of made it known to the strata that that wasn't probably going to be supported, and they chose to remove that from their application based on that visit and those conversations with the fire department.
Thanks, Nicole. Councillor Bailey.
Yeah, so just because I want to be clear, we were being efficient, maybe a little too efficient. So really all they're asking now is the rear setback to be at 0, no change to the sides or anything like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
So it would allow a rec vehicle or a park model trailer and accessory buildings to be placed right on pretty much that red line in the map.
Councillor Bushel.
Yeah, through the chair. Yeah, Nicole's right. We did walk around the entire park, and we did find that it would actually give them more room on the front for their vehicles. And he also noticed that some of the propane tanks, that pretty much all of them that are on propane, and most of them are on propane, their bottles weren't tied down or they weren't protected. So we addressed some of that stuff as well. So it would actually give them room for barriers and things like that. So the fire chief was fully aware of bringing it back to onto the lake or into the lagoon is not going to harm anything. There's lots of room there, but it'll give them more room in the interior. So we were in favor of that, but nothing on the interior lines. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else want to comment? Any more discussion? Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor? Look at that. Carrie. Okay, change to hours of liquor store Brothers Tavern, 430 Main Street. There's a recommendation that the District of Sicamous allows liquor and cannabis regulation branch with conducting formal public input for the proposed change to hours of liquor services for the liquor primarily licensed held at 430 Main Street, Brothers Tavern, by choosing to opt out of the process. Nicole?
Oh, yeah, through the chair. So this is the property at 430 Main Street. It's Brothers Tavern. And so not too long ago, we had a similar proposal for a change of liquor hours, and how it works is the applicant applies to the province and the province sends us a referral, and then we let them know what direction we want to go. So to talk about the proposal, their current hours, 11 a.m. to 1:30 a.m., 7 days a week. And they're proposing to do 9 a.m. to 1:30 a.m., 7 days a week. So the 1:30 a.m. stays the same, and they're proposing to open a couple of hours early. And so this would apply to the restaurant area only, not the liquor store. And their reason is that they would like to have some type of service for breakfast and lunch clientele. So those couple extra hours in the morning, is what they're requesting. Hopefully you read the staff report because we have a few options. So if we opt in, then that means we're going to do a public hearing and notify people around the business of the change. And then that whatever responses we get will be presented to council, and then we would provide a decision to the LCRB. Or we can opt out and let them, like them, the province, do that. Or we can just say no to this application and let the province know that. And so the recommendation tonight would be to opt out and let them continue with their review.
Okay, council, any comments? Councillor Evans?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's a good idea for us to opt out and say,
Province handle it. Sarah?
Through the chair, I just don't have a noted mover and second for the recommendation. We went right into the staff presentation.
Bob, Councillor Evans, Councillor Bailey. Really speedy tonight, aren't I? Anyone else have any? Councillor Bailey?
Yeah, I think we should opt out. I think this is a pretty straightforward application, so I'm supportive.
It's called the question for opt out. All in favor? And it's carried. Thank you. Riverside Water Main Upgrade recommended that the contract for Riverside Avenue Water Main upsizing and road improvements be awarded to General Assembly at the bid price of $1.044 million. Could I get a mover? Councillor Bailey, Councillor Beach. Daryl, do you want to?
Sure, through the chair. Yeah, exciting project. We're in the next phase of bringing a bigger water line through the downtown. So Capel got finished last year. We're picking up at that point right on Riverside and doing the next phase from Capel to Martin. So that is currently a 6-inch AC line, and we'll be upsizing that to a 10-inch PVC. We put it out to tender for a good month, I guess May 3rd to June 3rd, and it closed. We had pretty competitive pricing. We scored it based on price, methodology, schedule, experience, and references. We've got General Assembly as our recommended proponent for this, and they happen to be the low bid on this.
I have a question. So have we used General Assembly before?
We have.
Okay. And they're familiar with the job that's required.
Correct.
Just want to be making sure moving forward. I'm not going to make that mistake twice. Does anyone else have anything else they want to comment on? Councillor Bushel.
Yeah, through the chair, Daryl, just confirm the timing for start and finish.
Yeah, so it's not hard and fast at this point, but they're proposing a 6-week construction window, taking into account the high water. It'll be later in the summer, so end of August sometime. I would suspect they'll get going. Get it done before the snow flies.
Okay. Anyone else? It's called the question. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Okay, Riverside water main upgrade, RFP number 122020158 Finlayson Dock Placement Award. Recommendation that Riverside Docks Old Manufacturing be awarded RFP number 1220-20-158 for $58,550 plus GST for the removal, disposal, and replacement of the floating dock on Finlayson Street. Could I get a mover? Councillor Bushel, Councillor Rich. Daryl, you want to take that one away?
Sure, through the chair. Another identified project through the budget. We're sorry to bring this as a late item, but we want to get it kind of processed and going so we can get it installed in July. And we've got a good local bid.
Any discussion, council? All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Okay, notices of motions, no resolutions, none correspondence for information. I'm assuming that everyone's their correspondence. Does anyone have anything they want to speak to? Councillor Evans and then Councillor Bushel.
thanks, not just in regard to the letter from Sardi about waste management, but it was very helpful to go with Daryl yesterday and take a tour of our our wastewater treatment, and it really helps to stand there in the property amongst the ducks and the geese to see the lay of the land and see how restricted we are for space, and just to understand the process more. So I appreciate Daryl taking me on that, so I could see things better, just in regard to that.
Thank you, Councillor Bushel.
Through the chair, there was one letter that was sent to Sarah from Yannick about a wheelchair swing. Daryl, did you look at that, or I'm not sure what it pertained to or where we'd put it, but it's just something we should respond to. I've always wanted a wheelchair ramp into the lake, and we've talked about seeing if we could get Twin to design one into the lake that you could move and if you had to. But yeah, the swing would be cool too. But I just thought I'd not forget about it.
Yeah, through the chair, we do have identified next year a playground to look at upgrading in the Finlayson area. And maybe I can bring an option to council at that point for what an extra swing would cost.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Okay, then we go to the committee and a regional district reports. I'm sure that everyone has read those. Any comments on those? Councillor Bailey?
Yeah, I did read, I was interested in the waste management committee, but then when I went to look at the minutes, and I'm not sure if they're the way they always are, there really wasn't any information there. Because I went to see, it was a 2-hour meeting, and I could see call to order, adoption of agenda, meeting minutes, business arising, plan review, process overview, but I didn't really get a sense of what was discussed. And I know that's something that is going to impact us greatly here. So I just thought I would point it out, and maybe there were documents missing, or maybe they just take really brief minutes, but I wasn't able to really garner much from those minutes.
Because there weren't any.
Yeah, it looks like number 6, facility focused options, presentation by chair to present an update to the committee as a whole in June. But there's nothing to say, well, what was the presentation or what the discussion was or anything around that. And I just want to point out, not as a criticism, but if people are interested in this, and I think they should be actually, because there's going to be some big changes. So that's my only point on that one.
Daryl, had you showed up at that meeting, we would know. I can see there you were absent that day.
Way to throw him under the bus.
Wow, sorry, I didn't even notice that.
Miss Brent.
He can take it. He can take it.
Through the chair, they do have a webpage dedicated to this, and I know the agenda tells part of the story as well. So if we looked at the agenda, we didn't include that on this piece, but there probably would have the presentation. But you're right, like it is quite minimal as to the minutes. They're not as fulsome as ours.
No.
But maybe we could just give them that feedback, because I do think that's going to be a significant issue, for lack of a better word, and for something that maybe we should start getting that information out, because it's going to be a significant cost.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, thanks. Anyone else? Okay, we're going to go into public input period. Public has 15 minutes, and I know we do have someone in the that wants to speak to the section 57, is it?
Yeah.
Gord. Thank you. Sorry, Gord. I was struggling with your name.
It's Gord Canfield, Vice President of Issues Law Backup Riders. Yes. And there are a few concerns that we have that are going on right now. First of all, I'd like to thank you for entertaining myself and our president a couple of months ago when we made a presentation to council with regards to our section 57 application. But in my role, I also serve on the working group, Shuswap Trails working group for the Owlhead, Blue Lake, and Hunters Range area. And that group consists of stakeholders like our groups, snowmobile groups, other recreation, non-motorized groups, indigenous representatives, as well as industry. And so in that working group, it just came to our attention last week that they're considering decommissioning the Moose Creek Forest Service Road. And concern there is not only the loss of access to public land to the public, but the manner in which they're decommissioning roads in this area is of great concern, because the forest stewardship plans that the industry signs specifies how those roads are to be decommissioned, but they're going above and beyond that, which again raises concern, because when they decommission the roads, it's not just ATV access that's affected, but horseback, cyclists, pedestrian traffic. They often be quite a danger for what usually the road. And so, from a learning perspective, many of the districts' glossy presentations use beautiful pictures from up on the Sycamoose Lookout, the hang glider pad. So, can you imagine if that road was decommissioned? What would that do to our tourism in the area? So, the impact to the Owlhead region is a great concern. I see you've got the map up showing the Section 57 application. If I can figure out how to use this thing, maybe I'll get Daryl here to show me how I can do that. I guess there.
I know.
Yeah, so we've had clarification that the Owlhead Forest Service Road ends somewhere in this region, and this is now a lease road, which would be destined for decommissioning. We've submitted that there's no immediate plans to decommission that road, because there's going to be logging taking place up there likely for decades. So our particular Section 57 is just for this particular area in purple, and it alleviates the very low wet area that currently exists. So we have lease roads on either side of that. We've requested that we get a heads up for if they ever plan on decommissioning those, that we be involved, so that all stakeholders can be involved, whether it's the district, snowmobile clubs, ATV clubs, equestrian, etc., be involved in taking over that road and not decommissioning it. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. That there's a lot to lose in this area if the decommissioning of these roads continues.
Thank you, Doug. Councillor McCabe.
Yeah, thank you for your presentation. So if a user group takes over the responsibility, wouldn't the government be looking for proof of insurance, and how much would insurance cost to the user group to assume that risk, that liability?
Well, ATV BC covers the clubs for liability for designated trails. Now you might be questioning more the extent to which it would be taken over. Right now, of course, it meets the standards for having logging trucks pass over it, whereas to have ATV use would certainly not require the same engineering standards.
Sure.
I mean, there are so many different ways that this can be tackled rather than a straight decommissioning. You know, there are still signs throughout the province that indicate the roads have been deactivated. Irregular services may occur, and use at your own risk. There are so many different ways that this can be tackled.
Thanks.
Dangerous. Councillor Bushel.
Yes, through the chair. Gord, did Felicia say when they're planning on decommissioning Sycamoose Creek?
Well, and I don't believe that that's part of what she would have knowledge to. It's on the books commission. We don't want it makes it very clear that this is showing the Owlhead FSR, but what came to our attention last week is the Sycamoose Creek FSR, which starts basically up at 2 Mile Line and connects in up with some of the other trails.
Okay, we do have we're trying to have a meeting with the province at UBCM this fall, so we have it on the agenda. We have a letter out as well, so we're hopefully working on it.
Councillor Bailey.
Yeah, and just to point out, because I think it's good to point out every time what decommissioning means. They basically dig a large trench and make it exponentially more dangerous. So decommissioning sounds like a very innocuous term, but it's not. It's actually making these roads that people use for recreation extremely dangerous.
Yes, thank you for pointing that out. I mean, I should also mention that, we've often asked why that they, decommission so aggressively. And the irony there is that they say, well, it's to reduce the liability. Well, if I was to do that kind of decommissioning on my driveway to keep people from my property, I'd be liable. So they're actually creating a dangerous situation.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Councillor Rich. Oh.
To the chair, Gord, first of all, thank you so much for bringing this to us. Like, this wasn't something that I didn't know anything about, so I'm learning a lot. Like Gord said, we are going to UBCM. We've written a letter. Is there anything else we should be doing? Tourism is huge in Sigmos. Our locals use this. I use these roads, like you talk about horseback riding and stuff. So I think this is for like our families here, and it's also for people to bring other people in. Is there anything else that we should be looking at so we're not behind the 8 ball?
Well, all the support is welcome. Keep in mind that groups like ours are all on a volunteer basis, and we're often attending these meetings with stakeholders that are in paid positions. It would sure be nice to have somebody from the district that's on the payroll that would be assisting with some of these projects.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Thanks, Doug.
Thanks, Gord.
Gordon.
Thanks, Gord. Okay, we're just gonna go to Zoom. Trevor, your hand is up.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and staff. I have a couple questions I would like to raise in regards to agenda item 9B.
Sorry, Trevor, can you please give us your last name?
Yes, sorry, Trevor Delory, residing in Blind Bay.
Hey, what's your question?
So I believe it was alluded to throughout the explanation of the recommendation, but the request for proposal was based around an evaluation criteria. So I'd like to ask for confirmation that that evaluation criteria was followed, and if so, what the results of that evaluation criteria were, because it was a very competitive bid process, and the bottom 3 prices essentially fell within a single point based on that evaluation criteria from the pricing perspective. So I believe it would be helpful to see what the results of that evaluation were.
Yeah, maybe. Daryl, did you want to address it?
Yeah, through the chair. Hi, Trevor. Yes, the scoring matrix that was supplied with the RFP documentation was followed, and the evaluation committee in-house scored it separately and according to the proper rules.
Okay, are those results going to be released, or is the district willing to release the results of those evaluation for feedback?
If the proponents have questions, Trevor, I don't know if you are with one of these companies, you can feel free to call me and we can definitely go through your bid.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to bring that question forward because I do know as recent as of this afternoon, there was still reference calls being made to at least some of the contractors on that list by the engineering firm engaged. So it just raised a bit of a question mark on if that evaluation was done fully. So.
Yeah, the evaluation was done completely.
Thanks, Daryl. I appreciate those answers. And
yeah.
Mayor, I did have a side question from when the item was discussed. You had made a comment, Ms. Mayor, at the end of the item in regards to making the same mistake again. I'm wondering if you'd be willing to add some context to that comment, or expand upon what you were referring to.
Well, nothing in particular. Sometimes we get into situations where we haven't done the references or have chosen a builder that, you know, wasn't quite qualified. So yeah, just making sure that we're doing our due diligence in the district.
No, I can appreciate that, Mayor Anderson. I just wanted to ask the question.
Okay, yeah. Thanks, Trevor.
Comment. Thank you.
This says iPhone.
iPhone? Right, iPhone, you're next.
Hello, that could be me.
Good.
Oh, just 1 second. I'm just trying to. Oh, I just speak. No, I'm trying. You don't need my video.
We're good. We don't need your video.
Okay.
Your name, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Susan Hollett, and I'm wishing to speak on behalf of Sycamoose Vacation Rentals regarding the short-term rentals at Legacy. So Sycamoose Vacation Rentals, we have been operating since 2009, which is the same year that Legacy was built. Tia Cicerella Lemieux was collaborating at that time with Sam Boguslavsky, the president of Sable, who was the developer of Legacy, as the contact information person regarding short-term rentals at that time. Sycamoose Vacation Rentals, we have been providing that service since 2009, and we've always worked with the strata by submitting Form Ks as well as enforcing all of the strata rules. And some of our returning guests over the years have now even become homeowners at the Legacy. So what I would like to propose is a council simple resolution that we kindly ask you all to please consider to remove the strata consent needed to approve the business license. What this has inadvertently done has put the power into a couple of people's hands who now have the ability to stop short-term rentals on a whim. The building was built and units were sold based on the knowledge that it can be used as a short-term rental. If we do not change this, I believe it will be a huge detriment to the local economy of Sycamoose. As we all know, the majority of our businesses in town make their money from their tourist season. So if we do anything to limit the short-term rentals, we are in turn destroying our local economy. So we kindly ask the council to consider our resolution and all the facts and submissions received from property owners at Legacy and let us know how we can help with this matter. So thank you all for listening. I appreciate your time and your consideration.
Thank you, Susan. SM.
Yeah, SM. For those online, if you're asking to speak, can you please change your name to your legal name instead of using initials or iPhone? It's just for us tracking in the minutes. But yes, that's SM. I don't know the full name.
SM, can you give us your full name, please?
Yeah, good evening, and thank you very much for the opportunity. My name's Shane Monty. I'm the legal owner of Strata Lot 13 in Mara Lake Lane. I sincerely apologise for continuing to bring this matter to the attention of the district, but certainly I appreciate the opportunity to respond to agenda item 17 and maybe clear up a few things. Obviously, this is a serious matter and quite frankly, for many of us, a waste of time and certainly a waste of time for the district, but it's probably important to recognise the difficulty the building's having and clarify a few things. It was mentioned in agenda item 7 from Mr. Selinger that the CR and in reflection of thinking of what he said, it reminds me of that team building exercise, you know, 2 truths and a lie. You know, what I would say from that presentation is Mr. Selinger is correct in saying the CRT did rule. There were 64 sections in that ruling. And in fact, we agree that the ruling did indicate that where SDRs are used for the primary use, then that's not allowed. And that's clear in the CRT rulings. What is also true, though, is that the findings are limited to where the primary use of those lots are for short-term rentals. And in fact, it's very clear in section 28 of the ruling that this does not include any other types of STA use. Such as offering occasional licenses to occupy in addition to using the strata lot as single family dwellings. Mr. Selinger brought the document forward to the council and I wanted to make sure that those items are actually understood and heard and it's important for us to not waste the district's time anymore. Unfortunately, what is a lie is that he also mentioned at a strata meeting back in June that a vote was taken to allow for rezoning, and obviously that didn't happen, and the records would show that that wasn't the case. Given this is a complete waste of time and a failure of due process on the part of the strata, and it's an impediment to the district's operation to actually get to the bottom of this, I certainly support the previous speaker's notion that we would like to find a way forward that allows owners to meet their requirements under the district's bylaws. And we have and several owners are going to press the opportunity to bring a presentation back to the district and the planning committee where this all started in order to rectify the meeting. Again, I apologise for bringing this up again, and we greatly appreciate the district's time and all the effort that's gone into this today.
Thank you. Okay. Good online. Hey, go ahead, Steve, if you want to quickly, I don't want to turn this into a debate. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd just like to respond to the two people that spoke online. Obviously, the one is a commercial entity that the lady who's use rentals. The other one is an owner at the building who rents his unit for profit and is very seldom at the building or even knows the operations. I don't like the term lie. I've lied about nothing. You people have the CRT documentation, you have everything. I want to point out that these are two people that operate illegally within our building, period, end of story. It's illegal as per our bylaws, District of Sycamoose, and the legislature in British Columbia, preventing law. That's how it is. I've simply asked for rezoning of the building. That's it. I don't want to debate with other people what they think is right. I mean, when they bought into the building, the zoning was no rentals. So why would you buy a building that's no rentals and rent your units? And we've openly admitted that prior to, yes, units were rented, but it was me renting to Daryl because he's a good friend of mine or whatever, stuff like that. It was, and we never had a problem. And that's factual. You can look at your records. There was no bylaws, no complaints, no things like that. It was dealt with internally. You can't do that anymore. Can't deal with it internally. So I'd also like to point out one thing, that Sycamoose Vacations, the lady, a lot of her clients, if you people look at your bylaw, it's how many hundreds of them that we have for misuse and break of bylaws of the building, and the gentleman his unit and some of the people that he rents to on over and over. Yeah, complaints and issues. Again, I'm closing. I speak for a large majority of the building.
Thanks.
Not people.
Thanks, Dave. Okay, I think that calls it a day. Could I get call the meeting adjourned at 5:58? Oh, you want to say something?
Could I please?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I thought that you were like, oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, I missed my chance earlier when you asked. My apologies. I was just wondering if with the fires out in Malaqua last couple of days there at Green Acres Trailer Park, I think there was 4 or 5 structures lost. I know it's outside of our jurisdiction, but just is there a donation location anywhere in town that people need, you know, appliances, cash, or food, or anything like that?
Councilor Rich knows that the answer.
Okay.
Through the chair. Nothing to my knowledge has been set up. I believe that there is a donation. You can give money at the Malaqua Cafe at this point. There is still a fire truck as of yesterday, and I think this morning's still there. The fire flared up again. So there were 5 homes lost and several pets lost. But fortunately no people lost. So I think they're just trying to group and Malaqua Cafe, Rona Martin has kind of tried to I think it's early days, but that's where if you have something or want to reach out to someone, I would say that's the place to start.
Rona.
Thanks.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay, we're going to call this council meeting for June the 12th. We're going to adjourn at 5:59. Could I get a mover? Councilor Rich, Councilor Beach, all in favor. Thanks for being here, everyone.